If you can't even hold down one woman, what makes you think that you can hold down multiple? Jumbo everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video gonna be a Dr. Umar vlog. I know you're like, Dr. Umar, what the fuck? What the fuck is Dr. Umar doing on your campus? What are you doing meeting Dr. Umar? Well, if you didn't know, BSU is holding an event. They're basically hosting Dr. Umar. So fucking excited, so ready. If you haven't already seen my video, I made a video, what, like 6 months ago about Dr. Umar having a point when it comes to the Black community. That's what we're gonna be vlogging today. I'm really excited. Like I said, Black Student Union is holding this event, so I'm just gonna do like a little vlog because this is something that I want to be able to hold in my heart when people are like, oh my god, you meet so many famous icons. I know, because I'm an icon and I'm waiting to become an icon. So I just got back from grocery shopping and a little bit of errands. I'm gonna eat my mac and cheese real quick and then take the fucking ghetto ass train that's always motherfucking delayed and go to Northrop, I think that's how you say it, and get ready for this motherfucking event. I'm meeting up with my friend Jada and her friend Jackie, and yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'll probably see y'all when like I am on my way to the train. It's so dark in here, bro. Barely, hold on. No, hey, we're at Dr. Umar with it. Dr. Umar, we're waiting. He's gonna pop out in the dashiki. Let me not talk for too long before I get fucking copywritten. I'm like, turn this music off. Say hey, babe. Hi, bud. Jackie, say hey. Okay, here. Ginger. So why are you late?
Circumstances.
Yeah. Okay. Crumbs all over me.
Badusco.
Let me see.
Baduco.
Okay, that was bussin'.
She's from CBS. $1.
$1.
Welcome to our BSU event titled Empowering Minds and Evening with Dr. Umar. We're just excited to have a real productive conversation with him and whatever questions that you have as well as us. We hope that y'all get your answers tonight. And we also got some performers and speakers, so just, you know, stay tight, stay chill, keep your seats warm, because y'all see them later on, but of course we gotta, you know, build up the anticipation.
We are a Black Student Union. We strive to create community and embrace Blackness in all of its forms.
So the last part of our event is going to be a live Q&A section. We have this QR code where you guys can pull out your phones and answer or ask your questions. If you guys need ideas, you can ask about Coon Rapids.
Literally went there. Not the Coon Rapids comment.
Man.
Cool, I'm gonna do a poem for y'all, a little piece of writing, and I'm gonna go into a song, and then I'm gonna get up out your way. By show of hands, who in here is from Minnesota? Cool. By show of hands, how many people in here went to predominantly white institutions for all of their education career? Lived in Minnesota during 2020 when George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis police. So y'all know exactly what it was like living here in this predominantly white state, seeing what we all saw. This piece of writing that I'm gonna do is kind of talking about how it was during that time. Shortly after that time, I should say. This piece is titled One Drop.
Oh, I think that's a sign for me to ask that question.
December 31st, 2019, we were all clueless. My New Year's resolution didn't include surviving a global pandemic of a worldwide civil rights movement, but here I am, still standing after a few years that were so controversial. And one of the biggest changes I've noticed personally is my friend circle. See, I thought I had friends who had my back and wanted the best for me, but really they just took what they wanted and didn't care about the rest of me. And I knew we had our differences, but the only way they really had me was fucked up. They're fine when black people sit quietly with their repression, but get mad when we loudly start standing the fuck up. To the white folks I once knew, what did these last few years teach you? See, the one thing I will never be is your one black friend, a token to cash in for your self-righteous image that you believe excuses you from your supremacy, because you were never a friend to me. Some of y'all wanted to say the N-word around me, but now that I fight for niggas, you don't understand. Y'all are making black jokes, but when I talk about the black struggle, it's not funny no more, so you unfollow me on Instagram. And I see you posting your black square to show your solidarity, but you lost interest when it lost its popularity. And now you block people who used to post about it with regularity. You should have put it on your story since you only cared temporarily. Because after 24 hours, it seemed like that sentiment expired. At first it was the right thing to do, so you felt so inspired, but you didn't realize the amount of unlearning and re-educating the anti-racism required.
Ooh,
You need a
that was
teacher
a good
who
one.
would tread lightly, who would talk nicely, speak politely, but I get feisty. I guess I'm a little wild to be your preferred voice of reasoning. See, I get hot, I can be spicy, and I should have known you wouldn't like me since mild is your preferred choice of seasoning. See, white people be extra salty when I speak my truth with a little kick to it. Everything I dish out got that flavor, but this is my recipe, so I'ma stick to it. Whenever I cook up, I don't care if you're picky, you don't get to pick through it. I will never be your Candace Owens, the one black voice you listen to because they spew the same rhetoric as you, just with the dog for you. I will never be your Candace Owens, the one black voice you listen to because they spew the same rhetoric as you, just with a darker hue. So you think that the oppression we be living through somehow excuses you as if the things you do aren't examples of exactly what the hell I'm talking about. From the shoes on your feet, to your favorite song, to the words that come out your mouth, you will colonize and capitalize characteristics of our culture. You consume your favorite parts of black slang, black style, black art, black creativity, black athletic ability, and wonder why we call you a vulture. But when we talk about black issues, y'all mad. Like everything we do is supposed to be all for you. You celebrate when we shoot, or hit, or catch, or throw a ball for you. But if you take a knee to stand for what you believe in, they'll call it Kaepernick. They'll be more upset at how you're protesting black death than they are when the police answer a nonviolent call and cap a nigga. And they love Bob Marley and his three little birds, like every little thing is gonna be alright. But they skipped through his songs of freedom and didn't listen when he said that we were gonna be burning and looting tonight. And you always talk about MLK's speech on nonviolence. Every time we protest, y'all love quoting it, but you ignore what he said about rioting and leave out now he was a socialist. See, I know for a fact you wouldn't have liked him if you lived in the past, but now you want me to be more like him even though white people still killed his ass. And I mean no disrespect to my predecessors. Miss America been on games and we've been playing chess. The only difference now is that I can check it. You don't get to water down my message or whitewash who I am, because even with one drop, I can never be diluted into equality. You don't get to pick what you want from me. You don't get to come shop like everything I do is for sale, like everything I do is a commodity. To have me in your vicinity, you have to accept all parts of me, just know that. Because that prejudice you hold in your heart, we gonna expose that. Because before I'm your acquaintance, your friend, your employee, before you take my work, my words, my art, my creativity, not only am I black, I am pro-black. And however I choose to express it, I'ma show that. And however I fight for my freedom, just know that you can never control that.
One more song for you guys. I'm going to sing Black Leaves by Kirby.
Yeah! She kills this one.
Black leaves on the Mississippi River.
They say there can't be a Barbie like me because a Barbie like me is absurd and will surely inspire the unhealthy desire for girls everywhere to love curves and melanin and Afro magic. See, this country think they slick. Taking me off the shelf? Well, my pride can handle it, I guess, but what about our young brown babies? Like the ones who chose the white doll over me in that study back in the day? The young brown girls that like to twerk like to slay? Don't they know that these heels house feet that ride like Angela and these arms can swing like Serena? My presence demands the respect of a side gun. Lotion is an insult. Somebody passed me some champagne, but these hands protect the golden stool from the British, like Ya Santua, Umbaku for Ayaria. Cocoa skin, thick thighs, and chisel chin. Carbon copy culture features always in. Anything else would be a sin. Because see, I can transform to Barbie for president, a doctor, an astronaut, but as Black Barbie, I can also become Barbie prisoner with an inmate number on trial for a crime I did not commit, or Barbie in a casket with the lynching rope still wrapped tightly around my neck. Strange fruit hanging from a tree. Malcolm, Martin, Sandra Bland, me. Malcolm, Martin, George Floyd, me. Malcolm, Martin, Ricky Cobb II.
Read the roll.
See, they say there can't be a Barbie like me because a Barbie like me is too bitter. And will surely encourage bad behavior from kids and sass as they talk back to their sisters. I may or may not be bitter, but if I am, don't I got reason to be? You raped me, beat me, threw me over a ship, and then 400 years later so-called set me free, free doom. Not free dumb, I call you never come. They call you come quick. Black men with Skittles, Arizona must have a gun. Run. So yes, I may or may not be bitter, but if I don't, I got reason to be. You see, I am not bitter. I am a black queen, rising phenomenally born in the Congo, sit to eat in the kitchen. I laugh and eat well, and I grow strong. Black women, black queens, we will always carry on. So Mattel, just how you wanted to create a doll in the likeness of your own daughter named Barbie, we want the visuals of our young, black, gifted babies to see, to be images of women who look more like me.
Gabikong, Minnesota, Mikoche, Anishinaabe and Down, Indun Jibba, Makwa and Godam, Nima Wenden, Oma Ayaya. Hello everybody, my name is Kales Campbell. I serve as the Policy Director for Global Teen Activists, and I'm excited to be here with you today.
Hi everyone, my name is Ava. I'm a current member of Global Teen Activists. Super happy to be here with you guys today.
Hello everybody, my name is Sydney Ondo and I'm also a cohort member for Minnesota Teen Activists, and I'm so happy to be here.
Alright, so we're going to talk a little bit about how we got started. May 23rd of 2020, it began all in our bedrooms. We bonded with each other over the frustrations we felt over the racial injustice that were happening in our school systems here in Minnesota. Just 2 days later, the Minneapolis Police Department murdered George Floyd in broad daylight. And we knew it was time for us to act for change now more than ever. Our mission expanded beyond our school walls. We wanted to combat the racial injustice in all forms. Our journey proves just how young voices have the capacity to make real change within our communities.
Hey, now you can see us. Keep trying to... Vanessa. They bringing out the red carpet. Stop playing about my Dr. Umar. Umar! Umar! Hey. I'm dead as fuck. Fuck.
Glad to be here.
So one of the first questions we have for you is, please enlighten the crowd on your full name and what the significance of it is.
Dr. Umar Ifatunde Oguntade. I went to Africa for the first time in 2005 as Minister of Education for the UNIACL, the Marcus Garvey Movement. That's all right. And I spent 30 days and 30 nights, a week in Ethiopia, a week in the Republic of South Africa, a week in the Republic of Nigeria. Final stop was Senegal. While in Senegal, I visited the Borealis slave dungeon, and I poured libation in the female quarters. And it was the first time I had poured libation before because I was raised Sunni Orthodox Muslim. When I poured the libation, I began to cry, but the tears felt like they were not mine. When I got back to my hotel room that night, and I'll never forget the experience, the sun was still up, I was wide awake, and when I sat down on my bed, this is a few hours after coming from the Borealis slave dungeon in Senegal, and I started hearing the screams of ancestors and the chains of the enslaved, and this lasted most of the night. And then something started tapping me on my third eye, and I started getting touched by hands, but it didn't feel negative in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So a few years later, I'm going to Beaufort, South Carolina to speak, and the brother who invited me to Beaufort, Brother Kenyon, he said, have you ever heard of the Oyotunji African Village? Which I had not. So he took me to the Oyotunji African Village, where I met Chief Olaitime, who's now an ancestor. And if any of you have ever saw Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation, the Nat Turner movie, in the opening scene, the child Nat Turner is receiving a spiritual divination from an African chief. Well, that chief is a real life chief, Chief Olaitime, and he actually gave me my first divination. And he was the one who confirmed to me that what happened in Africa was an ancestral celebration of my return home. Also said you need an African name, and so in consultation with the oracle, he divined, and Ifatunde was the name. that the heaven said I should have, and then he divined again for a last name, and it came to Ogun Tade. That was November 18th of 2011. It's been about 13 years now, and only recently have I just been a little bit more adamant about having people address me properly.
Did you dive into the meaning of the name?
Well, Ifa Tunde means destiny has returned. And Ogun Tade means Ogun wears the crown. Ogun is the divinity of iron, power, and war in Yoruba culture. And that's my guardian angel. And I represent and I manifest Ogun. You need a little Ogun to deal with these coons out here.
That's gonna be my intro.
Diving a little bit more into your background as well, it's important for the crowd to truly understand who you are and not just see what they see online, but to hear it from you. What is the backstory of you becoming the person you are today?
The backstory, we were living in Jacksonville, North Carolina when I was in the 3rd grade. I decided I wanted to be a clinical psychologist at that time, going to be the older brother that other children can speak to when they have issues that they need to process. After we returned to North Philadelphia, the elementary school that I attended just so happened to have had a Black history class. So 4th and 5th grade, I got introduced into who I was by way of that Black history class, knowledge of self. There was also a public speaking oratorical contest during those 2 years, 4th and 5th grade. I entered both years, won first place in both years. I never shut up since. So then, the next year was 6th grade, and my father takes me to a family reunion in Baltimore, Maryland. And so we're walking through the back of a church, and I see all of this Frederick Douglass memorabilia, his hat, his Bible, his shoes. And I asked my father, why is all this Frederick Douglass memorabilia here at the family reunion? And he said, because you're related to him. And that's when I found out that my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, whose gravesite I visit in Maryland regularly, is actually the very cousin Stephen that Frederick Douglass writes about in his 1845 book, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. So Frederick Douglass and my 4 times great-grandfather were half brothers and first cousins. Cousins because their mothers were sisters. My 5 times great-grandmother, young Betsy, and Frederick's mother, Harriet, were sisters, but they were raped by the slave master who owned our family. And in slavery, you'll find that a lot of cousins were also siblings because the slave master often raped indiscriminately all of the women within the same bloodline. So by the time I left elementary school, I pretty much knew who I was and what I would spend the rest of my life doing, and that is fighting for the global liberation of African people.
Come on, kid.
Problem with being a Black superintendent in a predominantly white school district. Of course, in Minneapolis, 40% of the students are white, 31% of the students are Black. But the problem she's going to face is the Minneapolis or the Minnesota Federation of Teachers. And it is those white women, those snow bunnies.
In order to save my race, we have to make bunny hopping a federal offense.
See, one thing you gotta understand about public education is that it exists for the comfort of the white female teacher, not the best interest of the Black male or female child. So if you want the superintendent to be, if you have teachers who need to be let go because they do not care or are not competent, you cannot do it because they are members of the union. And so it is the white racist teacher unions of America that stifle and suffocate educational progress, which is why, in my opinion, it is a contradiction to call a Black principal or a Black superintendent a leader, because they're not allowed to lead. In order to lead, you have to choose your troops. At best, they are managers. They are there to manage the madness of miseducation. As far as the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy goes, I want to say thank you to all my brothers and sisters across the Twin Cities who have donated and stood with us on this journey. We finished all of our renovations. And so we're looking for the school to be finally, absolutely completed and approved for our certificate of occupancy this spring.
Yeah.
And I want to see everybody in Wilmington, Delaware, 30 minutes from Philadelphia, when we have our Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Community Grand Opening celebration. I want all of Minnesota to be in the building. This book came out 2 months after my last visit to Minneapolis. I was here January of 2022. The Martin Luther King Conference at the Convention Center. This came out in March of 2022. On the back of this book, and they just removed it probably because of me, picture of a white man named Benjamin Rush. His face was on the back of every DSM in history until this one, probably because of me. Benjamin Rush was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He was also the father of American psychiatrists. He was a slave owner and a racist, and he used to diagnose enslaved Africans with a disease called drapetomania. That means freedom.
I was gonna say.
Wanting to be free and running away from slavery was considered a mental illness. ADHD is the new drapetomania. ADHD is nothing more than a normal black boy with normal energy, normal testosterone, normal aggression, and a normal need to interact with other children. The problem is, you stick black boys throughout Minnesota in classrooms ran by white female slave masters, Caucasian instructor, you blame him for not being taught. Now, black boys can learn as well as every other child. The problem is he's treated in such a way that he cannot maximize his intellectual potential. And since public school operates on a white female privilege, the white woman is never held responsible when she miseducates our boys. The reading disability is a scam, the math disability is a scam, emotional disturbance is a scam, non-mental retardation is a scam, and ADHD is a psychiatric money hustle by the drug companies of Wall Street.
That's true.
Last week, the Food and Drug Administration just came out with an announcement. They had to recall ADHD medicine all over the country. Some of y'all saw this because they accidentally, allegedly, I would say intentionally, put the wrong pills in the ADHD bottles. One more point. Our parents are never given informed consent when they agree to have their child evaluated for ADHD, conduct disorder, ODD. Informed consent means if your child takes this, he might progress. Informed consent says he could develop schizophrenic symptoms. He could start having nightmares. His growth could be stunted. He could suffer from organ failure, blood disruption, psychosis. Nobody gives black parents informed consent when they start passing out this Concerta, this Ritalin, this Adderall, this Metadate, this Cycler, which is nothing more than synthesized crack cocaine. So you mean to tell me all these black men in Minnesota in prison for selling crack, but you took the same drug that you used to lock his daddy up with and you gave it to his son long enough so he can sit still to learn about Christopher Columbus.
I'm sure everybody's aware of the live stream that you had with the black boy that's from soccer. Coon Rapids.
Yes.
I'm sure you were seeing a lot of things in there, but what are your plans for Coon Rapids, Minnesota, if there are any?
We're going to confiscate all the coons. That would include Candace Owens, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, include Charles Barkley, and other Negroes, and we're going to drop them off in Coon Rapids. Coon Rapids, I didn't know we already had a place for them. And on a serious note, if we as African people are going to save ourselves, because right here in Minneapolis, you guys lead black America in 3 categories. The most racism experienced trying to find a job, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Really? I didn't know.
Most racism experienced trying to find a place to live, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Police genocide capital of black people, Minneapolis, Minnesota. If we want to save black Minneapolis and St. Paul, the first thing you gotta do is separate the serious from the sellouts. Because until you separate the serious from the sellouts, you don't know who you're working with. 4 self-hate. Before you can get to the
That part. And people don't want to talk about it.
aristocracy, the brown bourgeoisie, the coon Illuminati.
About it.
Yeah, one more time, princess. I'm sorry.
Why do you think there are divides in the black community? Africans, Caribbeans? And is there a way that we can overcome that as a black community?
This is a great book that I recommend everybody read on this 98th anniversary of Negro History Week, which became Black History Month in 1976 when President Gerald Ford decided to upgrade it from 7 days to 28. And that book is called Destruction of African Civilization by Chancellor Williams. I recommend that you all read it. He's now an ancestor, one of our greatest master teachers and researchers. In his book, Chancellor Williams discusses the fact that before the coming of the white man, we were already fighting with each other.
Come on.
Black people were already practicing tribalism.
Come on.
The Caucasians simply came along and exploited that tribalism. So this problem of Caribbean Africans thinking they're different or better, or American Africans thinking they're different and better, or continental Africans thinking they're different and better, or Central and South American Africans thinking they're different and better, or American Africans, Canadian Africans, Australian Africans, Africans in Asia or the South Pacific thinking they're better, it predates the Caucasian. The problem that I have with the chauvinism and the biases that we display towards each other is it's out of an ignorance, because if we don't learn to stand together, we will all perish as fools. White supremacy doesn't put black people in groups. See, they will tolerate the African immigrant a little more because you're not a threat here. The reason they will tolerate the African immigrant a little more is because you can be deported. The American African cannot be deported because slavery destroyed our relationship to our ancestral homeland. So there's this illusion by some of our African immigrant brothers and sisters who I love, Caribbean immigrant African brothers and sisters, Central and South American, and it goes for the diaspora. They're achieving better than the American African because you work harder. No, you don't. Nobody works harder than a single black mother raising 4.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are given more opportunity because you are less of a threat. The only homegrown threat in America is the American African, because we built this place. America owns us. And so they would rather allow our brothers and sisters from the islands or Central and South America, the continent, to come here as a means of displacing us. But here's what we need our diasporan Africans to understand. When they're done exterminating the American African, you will be next. So it's only a strategy of divide and conquer, separate and rule. As a Pan-Africanist, we all won. All of us here, I see you no different than anybody else. When I'm in Africa, when I'm in South Africa, I make sure they understand. I don't care if you Zulu or Xhosa, we one people. If I'm in Senegal, I don't care if you Wolof or Mandingo, we one people. When I'm in Nigeria, I don't care if you Igbo or Yoruba, we one people. And that's what we have to push. Because guess what? Caucasians are not a utopia. Italians think they better than white folks. Other white folks. Jews think they better than some white folks. Irish think they better than some white folks. Anglo-Saxons think they better than some white folks. Asians are not a utopia. Okay? Vietnamese think they better than Japanese. Japanese think they better than Chinese. Chinese think they better than others. But guess what? When it's time to look out for the best interests of the group, they can come together and stop the petty long enough to take care of the issues of the race. That's where we are weak. We don't know how to stop fighting long enough to look out for the collective, and that makes us political fools. Divided we stand, united we fall.
So for our next question, seeing that you specialize in mental health, how can communities reduce the stigma of mental health in the African American culture?
That's an excellent question, Queen. Black people have a good reason for not engaging the American mental health system. The fathers of segregation were psychologists. Adolf Hitler's chief propaganda minister was a psychologist. The father of apartheid was a psychologist. The father of eugenics was a psychologist. I just gave you Benjamin Rush, a racist psychiatrist. So black people have a good reason not to be running around looking for these diagnoses, because as long as psychology monkeys and human guinea pigs. So I understand why we don't go out looking for white people's help. Because first of all, in order for a therapist to really help you, they got to care about you. And the reason why a lot of black folks ain't interested in sitting in front of white people, how can you help me when you think you're better than me? So there's reasons why we don't go there. Reasons why. On top of that, we have to deal with pharmaceutical racism in the mental health field. What do I mean by that? When most black people go to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, looking for help for depression, anxiety, bipolar, borderline, suicide, low self-esteem, whatever the issue is, they don't want to give them talk therapy. They want to give them pills. They want to kill us to death. So you need to tell me my mother and father got strung out on crack and on opioids, and you're telling me the solution to my mental illness is more drug addiction? So there's reasons why we don't go. On top of that, we got to recognize a client therapy privilege, that confidentiality clause, stops if the therapist believes you're putting your children in harm's way. So if you have a single black mother who's going through domestic abuse, drug addiction, she needs somebody to talk to. If she sits down with a stolen and starts talking about some of the mistakes she made in her life, taking care of her children, she can end up losing all. So psychology has destroyed the black community more than helped it. Now, the Black Psychologists, Association of Black Psychologists, Association of Black Social Workers, Association of Black Therapists, we need to come together and give our community the healing protocol that it needs. They already exist, but we're not implementing it. And you want to know why? Because most black psychologists and psychiatrists are members of the black bourgeoisie too. So they're looking at the bottom line. They're looking at the money, and they can make more money through evaluations, diagnosing, and report writing than they can with therapy. So a lot of times it's difficult if you're black and you need a therapist who looks like you. It's hard to find one because everybody's passing up on the therapy to make the big bucks with the evaluations. So we're chasing money instead of mental health. Be clear, if you are diagnosed with one of these, in many states it's illegal for you to carry a concealed firearm. If you're diagnosed with one of these and you're not taking your medication, in many states you can legally be put in a mental health hospital against your will. So we have to be careful about pushing mental health unless we fully educate our people on the pros and the cons of walking into that white therapist's office. When a black woman says you push plural marriage because you want multiple women, I can have multiple women right now. I don't need to be married to have multiple women. Black men have all the women we want access to. We are saying polygyny, so I am accountable to all of them. The public knows who they are. I have a responsibility to them. Polygyny is about responsibility. Serial monogamy is about irresponsibility. But I think the biggest challenge of polygyny in the black community is the fact that black women are in such intense competition with each other. Black women would rather compete with her sister than collaborate. Now, black men have our issues, but if me and his brother have a difference, I'll see him in 5 years, we'll squash it and move on. Black women, when y'all have issues with each other, y'all will keep that beef for the rest of y'all life. The solution for the African woman in North America is to heal the sisterhood. Why so many black women in domestically abusive relationships? They ain't got no sisters to go to. Why so many black women dealing with mental illness? They ain't got no sisters to go to. You see, so if black women held each other down, black women would be in a much better place.
He's like, did I lie? Did I lie?
It's kind of going off of the question that I asked you. Do you practice polygyny?
I have never been married, but I will have 2 queens. And they will both be 5'5" extra thick in the thighs.
Nobody's never.
Yeah, that's what they are, YouTubian struggle streamers. We did better under segregation.
Create video essays.
But I'm not arguing for it back. Why? Because if you're telling me you need the U.S. government to legislate segregation in order for you to work together and do what you need to do for you, we're in a very bad position. Because you're saying I need my enemy to separate separate me from him so I can focus on my priorities. We already segregated. In Minneapolis, you already segregated. The only reason why white folks have to deal with you is because you need them for food, clothing, shelter, employment. You already segregated. The problem is we're not independent. Chinese move about you all the time. They're not socially isolated, but they have their own politically. They have their own economically. They have their own institutions. The Arabs, the European Jews, East Indians, they move amongst Americans. They're not socially isolated, but they still have their own politically, economically, and institutionally. They have their banks. They have their hospitals. They have their schools. They have their supermarkets, their distribution, their manufacturing. We don't need to be physically isolated from white folks. We need to be psychologically committed to black folks. That's the situation. We need self-respect. Reese,
Hi, Dr. Umar. Do I need to stand? You stand up, please. I'm right here.
Yeah,
I'm right here. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi, Dr. Umar. I'm a junior here at the University of Minnesota, double majoring African American and African Studies and History. I did a video response on YouTube to your daily wrap-up crew podcast saying that you have a point about a lot of things. I got two questions for you. The first one is, being here at a predominantly white institution, especially with the majors that I'm doing, one, what are your thoughts on white teachers who specialize in the teaching of Black history, more specifically like slavery, you know, just those types of eras? And then also on top of that, when it comes to teaching those classes, what are your thoughts when those white professors say words like Negro or racial slurs while they're teaching? On top of that, my follow-up question that kind of ties into this is, going into the one drop rule, what are your thoughts on that as well? Because I already know you're, you know, Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. But to create that, you know, biracial identity in the one drop rule, how do you, I guess, view it in the sense of, because, you know, to create that biracial identity, white people and Black people are going to have to reproduce in some type of way. So when it comes to claiming that biracial identity, how would one go about doing that, especially with systems in place such as like the one drop rule?
Okay, are you mixed race?
That's for free labor.
Oh, sorry?
Are you mixed race?
I mean, barely. Like, no. Both my parents are Liberian, but my mom is biracial, so it kind of ties into that.
Okay.
He's like, are you a nigga?
I think it is hypocritical for Black people to take an issue with a mixed race African but co-sign the snow bunny crisis. How dare you say it's okay for people to date who they want? It's okay for people to marry who they want. But when the product of that interracial marriage comes together, I'm going to reject them. They're not Black. We are such hypocrites. Because most Africans I see say you can date and love who you want. But when a mixed race child comes here, they shun them and repudiate them. As a Pan-Africanist, we don't do that. Many of our greatest Pan-Africanists were mixed race. Booker T. Washington was mixed race. Frederick Douglass, my cousin, mixed race. You understand? Some say Nat Turner could have been mixed race. My position is real simple. Nobody in this auditorium is responsible for coming into this world. I'm not going to discriminate against an African who identifies with the African family because they happen to have a white parent, as long as they are consistent in their identification. Now, if you want to know part-time Africans, AFRI, the Africans who want to be Black at the Dr. Umar seminar, but when you catch them up in St. Paul with their Jewish grandma, when they speak to you, right? So for me, being African is a two-pronged question. Are you biologically African? And are you psychologically African? Right? Candace Owens, Supreme Court Justice Thomas, they biologically African. They not psychologically African. So as long as my mixed race brothers and sisters are psychologically African, they family for me. But even though they have a white parent, they cannot perpetuate the snow bunny crisis. See that? Even though you mix, you're not going to keep on mixing this up. One of the reasons white women like to date Black males is because in the white household, the white man is king, not the woman. But if she dates a white man, a Black male, she will be in control. Maybe not of the relationship, but of the outcome of it. Because one phone call, she can destroy his life, Jonathan Majors. Black men don't understand if she's choosing you, because she knows ultimate and final control rests with her, not you. So when you ask about white people teaching black history, I think it's the same kind of a situation. They want to be worshipped by us because many white people have a savior complex, and so do we. We need a white Jesus everywhere we go, right? So part of it is the savior complex. Some white people genuinely want to know, you understand? You do have some. But here's the thing though, and this is where we as black people mess up. A white person crusading over a particular social justice issue is not the same as being against white racism. We think because white folks teaching black history, or got a black husband, or fighting against police brutality, that they don't believe in white privilege. Let me tell you something. Even the white liberal sleeps in the suburbs at night. They may want you, but they never want to be mistaken for you. And we as African people gotta stop letting non-Africans appropriate our culture, use it as a tool to get rich, and then go back home and be white for the rest of it. With an African who speaks out against injustice for any people. We are African. And as the mothers and fathers of civilization, and as the custodians of humanity, we have a right to speak up on any issue affecting anybody. What's being done to the Palestinians is wrong. I don't have a problem with black people speaking up against it. The problem I have is when we prioritize another people's issues over and above our own. The Haitian humanitarian crisis been going on way longer than Palestine. The Congolese humanitarian crisis.
And nobody talks about that.
That's literally why I quit vaping, was for Congo. Almost 3 months.
Period, I'm proud of you.
The screaming cry for Palestine, but you ain't screaming cry for Haiti, you ain't screaming cry for the Congo, you ain't screaming cry for Ethiopia, you ain't screaming cry for Somalia.
So that's the shit I can't stand. People just do it because it's a trend.
No, literally everything is a trend to people these days because TikTok just comes in like swoops. Yeah, it has these trends.
For our last person, we're gonna bring up.
I'm glad that I fucking went.
What's your definition of Pan-Africanism?
Great question. My definition of Pan-Africanism, if I was to summarize it into 3 principles. Principle number 1, all African people are one people. Whether I'm in South Africa speaking Xhosa, whether I'm in Nigeria speaking Yoruba, whether I am in Kenya speaking Maasai, whether I'm right here in Minneapolis speaking Ebonics, we are all light skin, dark skin, curly hair, straight hair, Puerto Rican flag, American flag, Congolese flag is more important than being an African. And why? You chose Christianity. People leave the church every day. You chose to be in your fraternity and sorority. People leave their fraternities and sororities every day. The only group you belong to that God chose for you that you can never get out of is your African race. And therefore it is the holiest. It is the holy of holies. And the most important group you belong to. Principle number 2, as Africa goes, so goes all African people. One of the biggest mistakes we're making in America and in the UK from our brothers and sisters over in Paris and Germany and so forth and so on is we keep separating our struggle from the African continental struggle. No child can do better than their parent continent or country. So if we want to be powerful, we got to make sure Africa is powerful enough to speak up for us. You have Chinese gangs in America, police hardly kill them. You have East Indian gangs in America, police hardly kill them. You know why? Because they're going to have to answer to Mexico. They're going to have to answer to India. They're going to have to answer to China. When they killed George Floyd, what African country spoke up? When they killed Dante, what African country spoke up? When they killed Amir Pope, what African country spoke up? When they killed Philando Castile, what African country spoke up? And you know why they didn't speak up? Because we are not reaching out to establish those political, economic relationships we need so Africa can look out for us and so we can look out for Africa. The solution for the American African, if we are going to stay here, is we have to build diplomatic relationships with the African continent so we can have a bi-directional mutual arrangement of support and success. Self-determination. Whatever is being done for Africans must be done by Africans. That means we build families alone. Black man, black women. We build institutions alone. Black man, black women. You know how much flack I caught from people who said with your credentials, you should be opening up a charter school? Why are you going through all this hard work to make FDMG Academy an independent school? Because if you don't build it, you don't own it. If the white power structure loves to finance finance black institutions. They love to finance black organizations. They built the Urban League. They built the NAACP. They built half the black churches. And why do white people love to finance black institutions and organizations? Because the hand that pays is the hand that rules.
Yes!
It's my money feeding your institution. You will never be free. The revolution will not be financed by your oppressor.
Of other groups of white people, you said Mexican people as well. At BS, we want to push unity. We want to empower people. So I was wondering, truly wanted to learn more about that. Is it genuine to say that these groups are hardly being killed?
Yes, because statistics show it. Nobody dies at the rate that we do. Nobody dies at the rate that we do. There is violence against the Native American population. There's definitely violence against the Latino population, many of whom are African as well, right? So that's a thin line right there, because the Hispanic is a U.S. government invention. Government came up with the word Hispanic in 1970 because when our Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Dominican African brothers and sisters came to America, a lot of them thought they were better than us and didn't want to be associated with us, and they would claim that they were white. And so the government said, these people are black people who speak Spanish. Why they call themselves white? And then they realized it was a self-hate and tribal thing. So then they came up with the word Hispanic to let Spanish-speaking Africans disidentify from the rest of us. That's how that came about. You know, so yes, other people have their issues, but nobody suffers like the African suffers. Everybody has an international homeland that they can claim and return to, except us. Now, yes, we can return to Africa, but for a lot of us, the white man destroyed that psychological connection to the mother continent, where a lot of black people don't feel welcome back home. That's why we as Pan-Africans have to rebuild that bridge, and we're working on it. But the point, again, remains, charity starts at home. And you have no business fighting for other people when you haven't fought enough for yourself.
Just to conclude the event, Dr. Umar, is there anything else that you want to speak on, just to wrap up?
Real quickly, and I'm going to take 5 minutes so we don't get off schedule. First, I want to give everybody my cell number, so take your phone out in case you ever need to reach Dr. Umar if I do that. Okay. Some of you ladies are young enough to be my daughter, don't even try it. Now, that 35 and up, we might could dance a little bit. Stop putting our kids in special ed, please. The learning disability is nothing more than a lazy disability. Make them study, make them practice more. Find him a tutor. IEP is not the answer. IEP is nothing but incarceration.
The way everybody got their phones out, really. You said what?
Stay off the meds. Remember, if you put your child on medication, they can take your children from you if you stop giving them the meds. It's called medical neglect. The school will call Child Protective Services, and it will take your children out of your home if you stop giving them the medicine. So do not, under any circumstances, get your child diagnosed with ADHD, conduct disorder, ODD. I'm telling you right now. And if you stop giving them the meds, once you see the side effects, they're going to take your children. Actually, if you have my number, Dr. Umar will be tomorrow. We're going to pull up on you.
Melissa, say what's up, what's up, what's up?
I know you're posting this too, that's why
I sure am.
Guys.
Why are you so awkward?
What am I supposed to say? Like,
what's up, what's up, what's up?
You know, my Dr. Umar. You talked a lot, bro. You should have had a microphone.
I should have.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I tried to talk loud.
No, you didn't. Hi, guys.
Thanks for coming.
I watched your Bali vlog.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of it? Can't even see anything. Dark as hell. Walking to Kaufman to meet Dr. Umar. This is moments before we meet Dr. Umar.
The one and only.
The one and only.
We're walking with his entourage, right? Tell me why he was like there was a group of white girls that walked by, and they were like mind you, he's walking with his entourage like this, and he's like glasses, and those girls are just like, who's that? She's like, I don't know. Like it was so funny. I actually like had to hold myself back from laughing.
Stop. Who's that?
And it looked like they were ready to like go out and stuff too. Like it was cool.
Oh, on a Thursday night. Thirsty Thursday.
No bunny sniff.
Is it what you got on your shirt? Who that?
You don't know who Formally?
She a singer?
Rapper. But she raps about good stuff. And then, wait, can we make this TikTok together?
Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunny Snow.
And then, ooh, can you take my Be Real? Ready? I'm sorry, y'all. This is Dr. Umar.
You only said once. Most of the time. It's very
Hey!
want to take
Thanks so much for your words today.
I love your smile.
Thank you.
You collab my ass. You won't even help me film a video, so no.
We'll go to the zoo together.
The zoo ain't finna open for how long?
It has to be the Minnesota Zoo though, not the Como Zoo, because the Como Zoo
We
is
can do them
lame.
both. We can rate which one's better.
The Minnesota Zoo is better.
You gotta prove it.
We have to go at a time where all the animals are out.
Subscribe and follow.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
subscribe and follow because
Come on.
Reese is
Hit
the
the like button
shit.
below.
Thank
Reese
you.
is the shit.
I know y'all like
Yeah.
Girl power.
If you wasn't there for Dr. Umar's speech, he
wasn't
said
there.
an amazing
Lame.
thing about poly relationships and everything.
Bro.
Or how about let's talk about that. So with him saying poly relationships, he said that it's not for people who want to be serial monogamous, aka y'all. If you're not ready,
What if I'm really down?
if you can't even hold down one woman, what makes you think that you can hold down multiple?
You need to be
I've
a
been holding down
provider.
multiple for a pretty long time.
Are you 50-50?
50-50? On what?
On anything? Or are you a provider?
My personality would probably tell you I'm a provider. But it depends
Do
on
the
girl.
actions line up?
You gotta ask them.
Depends on the girl. You heard it here, folks. Yeah, because y'all don't like women.
We love them.
Whoa, yeah, we love them. Oh shit, we love them.
Real pussy eater shit.
Okay, y'all.
Yeah,
Right,
this is
I'll
the
be right
closing.
fucking back. Any final thoughts? Did you see Dr. Umar?
Yeah, I
What were
went
your
to the whole
thoughts?
thing. I loved it. Dr. Umar is great. I don't think he likes women though. Like not in a feminist way, you know what I mean?
Black queens forever.
Snow bunnies never.
Bunnies, like he said, who's on your t-shirt? I said Flo Militia. Cyrus.
Oh, this a vlog?
Yeah.
Hello.
You just gotta say your words. You gotta say
Maybe if I was the historian, you know, I could have. But I already talked to him, so just my application will be waiting.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
So funny.
Thank you. I'll be back, y'all.
Gay son or thought daughter, neither. But I'm raising my children appropriately. My son could end up being recruited by the Rainbow Mafia.
The Rainbow
Mafia. My daughter, she has a self-esteem wound. She suffers from fatherlessness. She'll end up being promiscuous. Because promiscuity in black women is not so much about sex or lust as it is about a father's validation.
Ooh. He didn't have to eat like that. You put your shoulder in it.
It's a little feminine. It's a little juicy.
Wait, ready? Oh, sorry. And 3, 2, 1.
BSU president that brought Dr. Umar here in the first place.
I can't take the credit for that. I'll have to hand the camera to him because he has the connection.
You? Hey, okay.
Point of contact.
Okay.
Shake, like, he was the one that really made this happen. So big shout out to him. I'm just the accomplice. I was just the host.
Yup.
Just to aid and supplement to the success of this event. But I'm glad y'all were able to come. Those of y'all that came through. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make it big next year. We'll see what happens. I can't speak to it because I won't be here.
Bro, some of that talk.
Bro.
None of
Let's
that.
be honest.
And how does that make you feel that this is your last year of being a part of University of Minnesota?
Bittersweet.
You too, guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we're leaving a very good imprint.
President, vice president, hey, in the shot.
So much like greatness and positive impact that's already on this board that I hope that we're continuing to continue. The words are not wording at the moment. I believe that we have a very, very positive, very bright future ahead of us as an organization.
Hey.
We have such great people on the board that do so much already, and depending on who reapply, bro, you know what I'm saying, hopefully the reapply rate is really high, but also open to, new people coming in as well, bringing in some new fresh ideas,
yes,
energy, of course.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think we're just continuing to just make sure that the people that are on this board actually care and like their mission and just, continue to push that mission throughout all of the campus and the Twin Cities and all that jazz, you know what I'm saying?
sure. Thank you. Vice President, VP, anything.
Just about next year, impact. What specific content?
I don't know anything you want to leave us with. You're leaving next year.
Yeah, I feel like Christina's
been on the board for 2 years.
Yeah, setting up next year to be even better than this year. I feel like.
And you got the photos while I'm on my feet.
Yeah. Oh, that's the 11 o'clock, and he got this. He wants to leave. He's got a day.
Stop playing. Me too. Oh, she about to take our pictures. Okay, Christina. Okay, press. Yeah. What? Cute.
I'll start chatting.
It's all more regular picture.
All right, let me.
Bro, you're so weird. And then Dr. Umar, do I have to say something? You're right here.
Get in, babe. Get in.
Reese, Ireland. Just like the candy Ireland, like the country. I went to Coon Rapids. Do you have anything to Coon Rapids?
Let me find out if some real Pan-Africanists in Coon Rapids. I'm gonna probably go to Coon Rapids and find some of the best activists, Pan-Africanists, nationalists I ever found in my life. So I'm gonna go to Coon Rapids. But if we got some real blacks in Coon Rapids, we got to relocate them because we need Coon Rapids.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have anything to say to the vlog?
Peace and love to the blog. This is Dr. Umar Ifatunde. Thank you to the Black Student Union of the University of Minnesota for making this happen. I know it wasn't easy. Thank y'all for sticking with it all the way up to the last minute. Y'all popped it off. I love y'all. If y'all ever need me, letters of recommendation, job referral, whatever the case is, hit up your big brother King Kong. BSUs at PWIs. We gotta stick together.
Yup. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Hey. What you want to say? What you want to say to the vlog? Vamos, everyone, so you can be in the vlog. Yeah. Peace out. You'll see me soon. You'll see me soon. Dr. Umar right there, signing out. Thanks for coming out. Thank y'all. Have a good night. Be safe. Bye, Dr. Umar.
Good job, my brother. Good job. Get that school psych cert.
We just met Dr. Umar, everyone. How did the event go for y'all?
It was cool. I have the worst headache I can.
Come again? You're ready to get the fuck out. What floor? G? Or did she leave? Alrighty, y'all, I am now at home, and today was very interesting meeting Dr. Umar. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to do so, collect the content that I did, because this is kind of like, whenever I just think of meeting someone who's very influential, I'm like, okay, you gotta make your mark. Like, this is like, could be your only time of meeting this person. So it's like, of course I'm gonna go all out. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the footage from the vlog. Very grateful again that Dr. Umar came out to Minnesota, and more importantly, my school. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye, y'all.